What's up, creators? It's your boy Mad Mike, and on today's episode we're going to continue working on the 1990 KLR650 dual sport project that we have inside the Mad Lab. So you're going to want to stay tuned and check it out. Alrighty, it is a beautiful day to be wrenching in the Mad Lab. We have the 76 El Camino with the CUDA front end, also known as the El CUDA. We're going to be jumping onto that soon. Don't worry, guys. KDX, be working on that as well. But the main project that we have that we're working on right now, trying to get tidied up, is this 1990 KLR 650 dual sport project. We're going to do a full custom build on this one. We're going to strip the entire bike down, paint the frame, maybe do some inverted forks. I got a vintage Kawasaki tank coming in that we're going to be doing some retro KX fairings off the side that are similar to this. Custom seat, custom rear fender, a bunch of cool stuff coming on this build. I just yanked the motor out because we had a blown head gasket. I've cleaned up the old head. I've got all the valves and checking for clearances and whatnot while everything's apart. So everything is ready to go back inside today. We got the new gasket kit that came in, so that should be good. Here's our new head gasket, and here's our old head gasket. And you can probably see right down here, if I can show you guys. There you go, you can see where the head gasket blew out. So that was where it was leaking coolant into our piston, and we were getting a ton of white smoke and a bunch of coolant inside of our oil. So I was pretty meticulous about laying everything out nice and neatly, labeling all of our bolts in a certain sequence so we know how everything goes back together, 1 to 4, etc., etc. And you can see just the amount of heat that was produced from that leak where the coolant was. Everything on the front side where this leak was got really hot, and you can see the color difference in the valve cams here, and even in the bolt. I was like, why did they use a different bolt? So that's the coating that it usually has, but when it gets heated, it basically gets heat treated. So hopefully nothing else was damaged from all that excessive heat. I think it should be fine. Got a couple brand new torque wrenches. We're gonna assemble the motor here, put the new head gasket in, and once the motor's back together, we're gonna strip this bike completely down and start the fun stuff, the customization of the 1990 KLR 650. This is my first time really digging into a 4-stroke motor. I've never done a head gasket or checked for valve clearances on a dirt bike 4-stroke before, but it's really fun diving into this 4-stroke stuff and learning more about how the cam chain works and how the valves work. Let's just dive right into it, get this motor reassembled, get the new head gasket on, put the cams, cam chain tensioner, valve cover, get it all fully assembled. Alright, so we got the new head gasket on top of the head. I just flipped over the top kind of case or whatever you want to call this here. This is the bottom side. This is where the head gasket blew out originally. I put a straight edge on top of the head in a couple different areas, checking for flatness, making sure that nothing's warped. Everything looks good with our shims. Alright, I got some of that Molly Bendine, whatever, however you pronounce it. This is French. You want to put some of that, just a little bit of that on the head studs or the head bolts. That's what it says in the manual. So I'm going to follow those directions. Got them labeled 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the same orientation that I pulled those head studs out of. Let's go ahead, torque those down. I think we're gonna go to like 15 foot-pounds and a cross pattern, and then to our final torque spec, which I believe is 45 foot-pounds. Okay. Nice. All right, so now we got 2 acorn nuts and 1 Allen head bolt that needs to be tightened up on the bottom side of the head. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right, we're now ready to start installing the cam gears and the chain and the chain tensioner and whatnot. So let's go ahead, add a little bit of lubrication to the valve area and the journals, and I'll start torquing that stuff down to spec. Then the whole top end will be done. We'll put the valve cover on and call it a day. So I had a bit of a dilemma installing the cam cap bolts and the chain cover when I was looking at the alignment of the arrows on the cams. I don't know if I can zoom in. So this arrow here is aiming slightly down, where this cam here and the arrows are perfectly parallel with the top of the cover. So I was a little concerned that this might have to be rotated back a tooth, but my cams are facing forward on both sides. As you can see there, they're aiming forward, or that one's aiming backwards, this one's aiming forward. But I was worried that that would be out of alignment, but after doing a bunch of research, guys were saying that this is pretty similar to the MC mod. So this is on my exhaust port side, and that is the correct orientation, so I don't need to try to undo all this and move that back a tooth. So I'm just gonna leave it like that, and we'll see if it works. All right, we're ready to reinstall our cam tensioner. So that's for the chain. We'll put a new gasket on the end, and we'll install that. Make sure a spring goes in, bolt that up, and then we can put our valve cover on. All right, guys and girls, time to put the valve cover on. We're gonna remove the old gasket, install the new gasket, and then our top end rebuild is complete. My valve cover bolts here, I labeled them which one goes where. There's 1 bolt for the back side, 4 bolts on the top, and they say to make sure that they go back in the same orientation, so that's what I've done here. Alrighty, there you have it, guys. We got the engine top end fully rebuilt. We got the new head gasket installed, so hopefully we don't have any more coolant leak. Now that the engine is all reassembled, our next step is to completely disassemble the bike, and we're gonna get ready to do the fun stuff, which is the cosmetics. So stay tuned and check it out.